Hey guys, Abner Miranda here. Today I wanted to show you some silicone earplugs that I've been using for I think about 6 years now. I got these from a company called Ear Ink, and I don't even think they're called Ear Ink anymore. The alcohol acts like an irritant to the auditory canal. That's a good thing, and I'll tell you why in a second. That alcohol actually does a couple things. It creates capillary action, which draws the humidity that's always in the auditory canal toward the silicone, and it binds better to the human skin. It also slides in better because these actually turn and they lock into the helix. The auricle actually vectors a fair amount of sound into the mastoid, which is that bone back there. So your sound doesn't actually really totally come from the auditory canal. It's actually coming from this cartilaginous area here called the auricle, and it comes in also from the bone structures around the ear. What happens with the alcohol is it's an irritant to the ears, and it causes swelling. And I actually want that little bit of swelling in the auditory canal because it ends up causing these to completely seal shut, so that sound is not getting in, because these, specifically 7.5s, will rip you off. They will take your hearing real fast. And I want to be able to make sure that I'm sealing up as much as I can. The why behind silicone earplugs is this. When you shoot a lot and you wear earmuffs, earmuffs tend to irritate the ears, and you'll end up with infections on this area right here of the auricle because of the constant rubbing of being inside of hearing protection, and you know, the sweating and all the grime that's on your hands, and you end up with infections. I find that on hot days, I'm able to, and really even on cool days like this, I'm able to just, I don't feel as squeezed when I'm wearing hearing protection. The reason you guys see me wearing Hearing Pro sometimes, a lot of times, is because I run cameras on it. But when I'm out here by myself, I'm usually wearing these things. I just find them far more relaxing, and it also gives me just really a more realistic feel to what it is that I'm doing, because I don't have that weight of the Hearing Pro on my head jostling around. If you study armed conflict, one of the things that you will eventually stumble upon is some very compelling data, some very realistic data, because I've actually experienced it before, on a phenomenon called audio occlusion. And Colonel Grossman refers to it as the shots getting quiet. Guys have been, not only law enforcement, but military and private citizens, I believe, he's got data as well, have said that when they pulled the trigger, they said that the shots were very quiet. In fact, I think there was an incident where 2 state troopers were at a roadblock. The subject came upon the roadblock, they fired their weapons, and they said, they got on the radio and they said, we're not going to give chase because our weapons have malfunctioned, not realizing that the weapons didn't malfunction. They just literally couldn't hear the gunshots. Hunters experience this too, that buck fever. You pull the trigger and you don't really hear anything. I've actually got a friend who was in Vietnam, and he said to me, in God's honest truth, he said to me, I slept underneath a howitzer. He said, I don't have tinnitus. He said that thing fired all night long, and I slept underneath it in the bunker below. And he said, and it was unbelievably loud, but exhaustion took over, and you fell asleep from exhaustion. And he doesn't have tinnitus. I mean, I'm like, excuse me? I prefer training with silicones only because it allows me to get a cheek rest on the weapon better without the Hearing Pro getting bumped. And what happens is when Hearing Pro gets bumped, it moves and sound gets in. Not to mention glasses, this portion right here, glasses will actually cause sound to leak past, which is why I have the silicone gels on my Hearing Pro, my MSAs. Spend money on those things, they're worth it, the gels. But I don't know, just silicones, just really, what amazes me is, as loud as this weapon is, I actually heard the spring going by my head, and I heard the sound of the rifle reporting off of the hill. But here, I had nothing beating me up. Now, mind you, it's different. When I go to the ground, If I'm doing ground fighting techniques and I turn sideways and I cant my head just so, and the auditory canal, in fact, let me, right there, when I push up, which is what happens when you jam down to get on the rifle when you're doing ground fighting, your auditory canal changes shape. And these things are very precisely made to your auditory canal. They're an exact match to the inner ear. And the way you get these done is you can either go to a trade show, to a gun show where people are making them, or you can go to an audiology office, which I would honestly tell you that's the best way to do it. Go to an audiology office, get them done there. If you're interested in, if you've ever wondered about this type of hearing pro, heck yeah, this is a definite something for you to look at for hearing protection. It's just, like I said, guys, it relaxes you. When you're wearing this versus muff, you just feel more relaxed, and you tend to hear when people are talking to you better. Why? Because the auricle is left open. So the auricle actually is able to do a little bit of work to pick up sound for you, rather than hearing muffs that just totally block everything out. And the digital, this is the last thing I'll leave you with, the digital hearing protection of today is so crappy compared to the digital hearing protection of about a decade ago. Like, the MSAs are top-notch if you can find the old ones. I can't find the old ones anymore. Everything that I've come across in the last few years has what I call an audio strobe effect, and the audio goes tip 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 tip, and that sound is so uncomfortable, and it just mentally wears you out because it's always chop 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 chop. And with these, yeah, I can't hear, right? So when the instructor is back here and he says something, all I do is I reach in and I pull them out and I rotate, and right there I can clearly hear everything that's being said to me. I can hear that. I can clearly hear everything that's being said to me, and at a moment's notice, eyes and ears, I'm ready to shoot. Not to mention, last thing is this, not to mention, these allow me to wear a full hat to protect me from the sun. Like my mentor Dave Spalding says, if you are not protecting yourself from the sun, it's not am I going to get skin cancer? It's a question of when are you going to get skin cancer, and skin cancer will metastasize to your internal organs and it'll take you out. So think about that, guys. These are all things that are interlinked to one another in the training environment, little things that you don't even know about that you really should pay attention to. And silicone earplugs, this is the why behind silicone earplugs. As always, I thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Get those guns out and practice. Have a good one.